So my main role in Rural Youth Project is sort of jumping and crashing into other people's projects and hijacking people like Nici's brilliant work. So we sort of jump around rural Scotland and do different projects and try to elevate voices of people doing great stuff for young people or young people leading projects across rural Scotland. Yeah, Nici and I both live on Hoy, on Orkney. We've lived here together, well, on the same island for quite a long time.
15 years.
I was born here. So it's interesting, we're chatting about the Youth Hub and the levels of youth services, and I've got that kind of lived in perspective, I suppose. There was a lot more happening when I was, 15 years ago, when I would have been attending those. And then Nici noticed just a big gap. And you might want to talk about what you've been doing. You've got children, you've got people, you know what's happening for them on the island and why you want to start this brilliant youth hub on Hoy.
Yeah, well, I have 4 children of my own, 2 of them teenage, 2 of them younger, and we had no youth provision at all outside of school. The council were on with starting up a youth club for 8 to 12-year-olds, which is still in its stages of development, but the older children have had nothing now for 10 years, which is a big gap, and it's a big miss for them, not only because, you know, when they've spent their teenage years growing up somewhere where there is nothing to do, nowhere for them to go, the sort of want to fly and live elsewhere becomes quite strong. My eldest is 16, so I've sort of missed the boat with being able to help his age. We are open to 18-year-olds, to up to 18-year-olds, and we have got a number of those coming through, one of which last weekend has expressed an interest in becoming a young worker and wants to progress through the system with that. So that was fantastic news to be able to give a youngster something like that they wouldn't have had that opportunity without us opening up. So what we decided was something needed to be done, and we pulled all the young people together. We invited 25 of them, I think, and 15 came, and asked them what they wanted, what they would want from a youth group, when they would want it to be, what they'd want it to look like, what activities they'd want to do. They gave us their feedback whilst eating homemade pizza and chatting, and it was just really wonderful to see that even after all this time of them having nowhere to come together, they just all interacted beautifully, and we're sort of 8 or 9 weeks in now, and they just get on so well. It's always cheerful and happy. There's no falling out. It's just really lovely to see that they've got a space, they feel comfortable, and they can come into that and do activities they want to do. So they've also got, what was important for me was they've also got another set of safe adults in their lives, because particularly with COVID stopping so much, children have their families at home and they have their teachers at school, but youth work offers another set of adults they can access that they know care, and they can maybe talk to about things they wouldn't necessarily speak to the other 2 sets about. So for me, that was quite an important thing, because my children have missed out on that. So we just rolled with it, really. I took the list of activities they wanted to do, pulled together a list of equipment and items we'd need to enable them to do it, organised to hold it in our community hall, and most of them wanted a Saturday night at 7 till 10 because of where we are. Some of our children go across to the mainland all week for secondary school, whereas others travel, but it's a very long day. So during the week, it's difficult to offer a service that would be accessible to everybody, which is important. One of the other issues that was important to me was the issue of transport, because we live on an island and we're separated by such a big distance. The barrier to the ones living at the opposite end of the island attending needed to be removed. I didn't want parents to have to drive 100 miles in one night to let their children access the service, or the children to miss out because their parents maybe aren't in a position to do that. I wouldn't be myself. So that was really important that we didn't have that. So we have set it up so it's free for them to access. They get hot meals, drinks, they can do the activities they want to do, they get the transport included at no cost. So it is open to all and as barrier-free as we could possibly make it. And they're just flourishing. They're currently writing a play to perform to the community. And I'm busy Googling how to create sets and do all that sort of thing for them.
We'll do a workshop.
Yeah.
But I think it's a really important point to realise, you know, young people on the island had gone without for such a long time, and possibly because we're a smaller population and statistically it looks like there's fewer of us. It's a large island, and over a long period of time, such a large amount of people relative to the community had missed out on what is deemed an essential service. And it took Nici, as a volunteer, doing this all, you know, all for free, taking all this on herself, to do what councils and other groups, you know, had maybe struggled to make happen. So I think that's a really important point to reflect on, that these are volunteers. Nici's a volunteer working tirelessly on top of her own jobs. We sort of gate crashed in the office today and stealing 15 minutes of work time. And that, I think that's the reality of what rural, you know, youth services are. It takes people who really care to come in and just do things. And I think it's a really important point that it's voluntary.
Yeah, it is entirely volunteer led. We don't have anybody that's paid, but we have 3 members of staff on each night, and one of those is the driver. So it ends up sort of being a 5 hours each night for setting up and putting everything away and running the session, or doing the driving, picking up and delivering them home. And that is all voluntary, which is very special, that there's 8 of us that are in that. And it's very special that there are 8 people that the young people of this island are important enough to them to give up that time, which it's a big thing to ask of people. So it's really important, that part of it.
And the level of you know, funding that you've gotten into it as well is quite incredible. You know, it's the state-of-the-art equipment that Nici's gotten into this as well. So, you know, looking at things like digital exclusion and poverty, that's being bridged. It is, you know, it's a hub where young people can come to. And we don't know what people have in their personal lives or what they don't have, and Nici's providing a space where people can come to that's warm, like she says, that has food, it's got brilliant equipment, and it is bridging those divides, those inequalities that had gone, you know, unseen for quite a long time. You know, was it 10 years, something like that?
10 years, yeah.
That's a long time.
Our young people are identified as being in the highest risk for child poverty, and that's increasing year on year here. So we are hoping to be able to, as we go forward, address more of those issues and help families and young people going through.
Well, I think that sums up in a short way the amount of massive effort that Nici's gone to with the Youth Hub. When did it start again?
October.
Just October, so
yeah.
it's very recent and very well attended. I'd say most of the age groups who can go do go.
Yeah, and the ones that are away at university have said, oh, we'll come when we're back. And there's some that have, at the 16, 17, 18-year-olds that have gone off to the forces, that are insistent that they're going to be attending when they're home for Christmas and home in other holidays. So that's really lovely to see that they've grasped it and they're running with it, really.